My name is Brock Zevan. We do this every Monday through Friday, 8:15 to 8:30ish. Today is going to be a little bit longer because we're behind. But we're going to make this happen in some capacity so that way we can have more engagement across the country for all those that are here. So, and just to let you know why I looked over here is because I got my Facebook screen open and then I got my Zoom on the same side, on this side over here. So the topic today was laying the foundation. We talked about there's six characteristics that Zay talks about. And the six characteristics are honesty, character, faith, integrity, love, and loyalty. I say those six again because I was like, wow, those are really, really good. Honesty, character, faith, integrity, love, and loyalty. He starts by talking why these foundation stones are so important to success. Well, I'm glad you asked because I'm going to tell you a human being goes through life thinking and doing. Hence the thing, what you think about is what you become. I'm going to tell you that they actually, then they usually do what they think about most of the time, hence dreaming, what goes on inside your brain. I want to remind you that you were born to win. I also want to remind you that, and here's something very, very important. It states this, and it's even italicized, and I love this line. You are what you are and where you are because of what's going or what has gone into your mind. But you can change what you are and where you are by changing what goes into your mind. The reason this is so, because you generally do what you think. Your thinking drives your choices. Choices determine the action you take. And action produces the results of your life. You can only think in ways consistent with the information you have in your mind. So to change what you do, you have to change what you think. And to think differently, you need to change what goes into your mind. I will read this again, the line, the quote. You are what you are and where you are because of what has gone into your mind. But you can change what you are and where you are by changing what goes into your mind. So I just find that very, very fascinating. I love those foundations, and I've been working on these foundations because they're so very important. And then if I had to break it down, faith and integrity come to mind with me on the first ones that I have. And so, yes, I know. I figured I'm going to get text messages and everything else. It's going to be a little challenging today. I can't figure out Zoom. So many questions, logins, the meeting now saying the passwords is incorrect. Hey, I missed the one, but hopefully my dad did good. So it's just going to be one of those guys that we're just going to continue to fail forward on this, and we will get it situated and get it all taken care of. So looks like Facebook Live seems to be the main ingredient right now, but I can promise you we will get through this. I have the faith that we will make this happen. I promise you that. And so reflecting on these six components, because unfortunately I don't know where good old Mike is, and so I'm going to reflect on these six, and then I'm going to share with you a story that happened to me over the weekend on a listing presentation, and where we're seeing and what we could do to help our business, especially on the seller side. And so with these six characteristics, what it talks about to me is I'm getting ready, as I was sharing with you, to do an event on Tuesday. And the topics that they've asked me to talk about are limiting beliefs and intentional versus committed. And I find it very fascinating to me that today, when I was reading this, the limiting beliefs come into play because of what goes on inside my mind. My mind dictates and controls where my forecast is going to be. Oh, there's Mike. So he's getting there. So when your limiting beliefs, not only does the limiting beliefs affect inside your brain, but the limiting beliefs also are affected by literally the people that you surround yourself with. And so when you surround yourself with people who instill or also validate your limiting beliefs, for example, I was talking to someone the other day and I was just like, I'm getting ready to do more national coaching at a very, very high level, speaking on a life coaching, business coaching, speaking in different colleges and schools and everything else. And the guy says to me, he goes, but don't you have to like write a bunch of books and don't you have to like be well known in that? And I said, you do. And I am writing a book and I appreciate what you said to me because you're absolutely right. Those things are part of the ingredients to make a bread. And I'm not ready to put the bread in the oven yet to let it rise, but I can assure you I'm working on the recipe right now. I'm mixing it together in the sink and blending it all together. And that is part of the 6 foundations that I need. Those are the 6 ingredients to the recipe to success. But the other thing is what goes on inside my brain. What am I putting inside my brain? What am I allowing other people to put inside my brain? Because if I have doubt, and somebody says that to me, well, you know, they are right. I mean, I technically don't have a book. I mean, I'm writing it. Who the hell knows how long that's going to take? I mean, really, hell, right now, I can't even get on freaking Zoom. I can't even get my Zoom to work with my Facebook. I mean, and I want to go and I want to speak in front of hundreds and hundreds of people, thousands of people, and I can't even get this. Like, maybe they're right. Maybe I'm biting off more than I can chew. Maybe I'm not doing what I need to do. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I should just go back to being a school teacher again. Nothing wrong with being a school teacher, but that's my motivation. Every August for the last 7 years, this will be my 8th year that I get to go reflect. And because when I left my teaching world, everybody, and I told people I was going to leave teaching and go to a sales position, 100% commission. After leaving a W-2, I had healthcare, I had my retirement, I had all this. And I remember even telling my mom, yeah, Mom, I'm going to leave teaching and going into this. Oof, are you sure you want to do that? Like, did you really think about that? That's like a big step. And I said, you know what? Every year in August, I get to decide whether or not I financially can do it. I get to decide whether or not I can take the next step. And every August, I look at my finances. I look at my life. I look at my flexibility. See, money doesn't buy me happiness. Money buys me choices. So every August, I get to make a choice. Do I have to go back to teaching or can I stay in real estate? And so I get to have that choice. I love it. I love this year. I get to say, you know what? Teaching is not in the books right now for me. And I get to teach at a totally different level. And I'm passionate about it. And nobody, not one single person, except for me, is going to change my mind if I choose to. And so when we hear Zig Ziglar talk about we are where we are by what has gone into our mind. But if we want to change it and go something else, we have to change what is going into our mind and filter what we allow to come inside of our ears. So with that, it looks like we got good old Mr. Kastner is on here. Out of everybody on Zoom, Mike, you are the only one that made it on Zoom. Our Facebook seems to be where everybody is, but the Zoom, I got to work on that piece. But anyways, with that being said, Mr. Kastner, I think I even heard you. Are you there, sir?
I am here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. For those in Facebook world, I'm not too sure if you can hear Mike. Can you guys hear Mike? If somebody could say something in the chat box, tell me you can hear Mike. That would be great because that's either going to check the box that I don't have that problem or it's going to add to the box that another problem on my hand. So for those on Facebook, if you can let me know if you hear Mike, I greatly appreciate it. Yes, we can hear him. Okay.
Good. Yay. Because otherwise I had to figure out how to get to you on Facebook Live and I can't figure that one out either. It was a little touch and go as to whether they asked for my password. I'm like, what password do you have to go into Zoom? And like we all know, there's about 3 of them. So it's like, okay, nope, not that one. Okay, nope, not that one. I'm like, oh, if it's not this one, I got to go reset. I'll never make it, but I got it.
You got it just in time. And I was just like,
Technology.
well, we'll talk about our six foundations that we talked about. But let's dive into a quick little conversation that we had first thing this morning. And thanks, Karen. Thanks, Pat. So they can hear you on Facebook Live. So we do have you on Facebook. I just got to figure out. We got Alyssa who joined us on Zoom. So the Zoom is we're slowly figuring it out, but we will figure it out here shortly. I can promise you that. I added that to my afternoon schedule. With that being said, though, Mike, we talked about setting expectations with sellers right now, because sellers are still in the back of the car. They are still looking at last year prices. They're becoming knowledgeable. But share with us a little bit, and for those that don't know, Mike and I have been together for many, many years, and he's one of the top agents out there. And he goes through and he's very detailed, but he understands personalities. And so when you get into a listing presentation now, Mike, and sellers are still at that high price point wanting to do that, how are you handling those expectations with the sellers out there to either ease their mind or prepare a game plan? What does that look like for you that we could share here in the next couple minutes?
Well, one of the things that I like to do is first is you have to assess what that type of person's personality is. So you know how to approach it. Because again, you don't approach everybody the exact same way. Um, as an example, of course, you and I were on a listing presentation last week, and this person definitely was a bullet point driven, get me some details. I want to know what the plan is, lay it out. And it may, you approach it from that point of view. So the first thing for me is try to assess what type of personality they have, so you know how to approach this. Are they coming at this from a position of fear and uncertainty? Are they coming from this from a position of maybe arrogance and even bordering cockiness? So once you do that, then you know how to kind of approach it. But it's really, to me, it's about setting that expectation. The expectation of saying, where do you see the market? What do you perceive it to be? What are your feelings? So getting to see because they may be at a point where I've learned already that people are starting now to see that there has been a change and it's not the same. But yet you may have some people that are like, no, my neighbor's house just 2 months ago sold at 30,000 over what they were asking. So we're going to ask another 5,000 on top of that because they had 5 offers and multiple showings. And then again, you may have somebody who has been out of the market for 4 or 5 years and this are just starting, and you come in and you're like, so where are you at? And you think the house is going to be at 350, and they're like, well, if I could get 300, I'd be happy. And it's like, so have you been following the market? No, I haven't, not at all. I haven't even looked at it in 4 or 5 years because I'm so engrossed in my job or life or whatever. So number one is to narrow this thing down is to assess what their personality type is. Then number two would be setting the expectations, and you can only know how to set the expectations if you know where they're coming from. So what is it they're trying to see? And then my approach is to respond to what their expectations are. These expectations realistic or a little bit on the unrealistic? And then let's setting it down. One of the things that I think that's super important is that you have to be clear and set those expectations, because what I've already seen and heard mostly from other agents is going in and setting unrealistic expectations of, hey, and I actually had one person tell me this, where the agent come in and said, hey, we're going to put the house at this price point. We're going to have this many showings. We're going to have this many offers. This is what's going to happen. It's going to be great. We're going to sit back and do it. Now, when that doesn't happen, and it didn't, what happens? The people and the sellers are frustrated because they relied on you to give them that valid information, and he just set the wrong expectations. So to me, if I had to say one word or one sentence, it's setting the proper expectations, but knowing the position where they're coming from and how to approach setting that expectations based on their personality type.
Yeah, I agree 100% on the personalities. And for those that are on here today and you're listening on Facebook and you're listening at whatever different sources you got, I don't know anymore, but I'm just telling you this. Personalities are so very, very important. Could I get like really upset right now? There's Mr. Kastner. Can I get really upset right now because this is not working? Ah, probably could. But you know what? I had to adjust my personality just like I have to adjust my personality, literally adjusting my personality when I talk to sellers and ask the right questions to figure out what their personality is. And that's done through the pre-qualifying questions that we ask them going into our listing presentation. It's understanding the deep dive. It's understanding go deeper, not wider. It's understanding these things. So when I talk to the seller, it's very simple because the seller that we talk to, he's a coach. Okay, coaches like what? A playbook. They like a plan, right? So that was easy. And then when I asked him what's his balance on his home, he gave it to me to the penny. Okay, that's a very detailed oriented person. So it was very simple at that point by asking those two questions or understanding him, his personality, to be able like, here's our game plan, here's what we had. Take a look at this spreadsheet, break it down. And when we were there, he even his wife said, "You're the only person that, by the way, guys, this is a for sale by owner. You're the only person that actually sent this over. Nobody else did." And we have a lot of people calling, right? Knowing what their personality is to put you in the position to provide value by asking simple questions to understand their personality. So, Mike, you nailed it because you can't give expectations unless you know their personality. Because if all we talked about was, how we're going to market his home on social media, he'd be like, okay, that's great, but I just need to know the numbers though. Like, what is my take home going to be? Like, that's all that matters. But if I talked about how great I am on social media and all these people I do on social media and marketing and blah, 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 he'd be like, all right, forget you. So you've got to understand their personality and behind the scene, as well as when you're in the listing presentation. I don't know if you noticed this too, Mike, but watching people's personalities, like who's looking at you, who's not looking at you, because when you got a husband and wife, that too is very, very important, because who you talk to on the call might be the person who's like who just designated because she works all the time. He has more flexibility, so he's answering the phone. But does that mean he's the decision maker in this thing? And nothing against husband and wives, males and females, but guys, I hate to say this to you, but we like to think we're running the show, but we're really not. Like, the women and the wife are the main ones that usually make those type of decisions. You hear the story, happy wife, happy life. Like, and so when we were at the listing presentation, like, he was present, and I'm not going to take anything with him, but she was the one that was like making notes, completely organized, pulled out a huge binder, looking at me straight in the eye. Like, I was like, boy, this girl's, I got to be on point here. She's like, I can tell she gave him like the confidence. He's like, man, I really like them. I'm good. And he looked right at her and she validated it to confirm here we are. But those are some things you pick up. And Mike, you're really good at people's personality or body language as well. So last 30 seconds, anything you want to add to that, Mike?
No, nope. I think that's all I had.
Cool. All right then, guys.